Elizabeth Short, who was known after her death as the Black Dahlia, was a woman from the United States. She was born on July 29, 1924, and unfortunately something very sad happened to her. She was found dead in a neighborhood called Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, on January 15, 1947. This event became widely known because of how terrible it was. Her body was seriously harmed and it was cut in half at the middle. Hello everyone and welcome to Noches de Terror to Study English. My name is Cesar and I am a university English teacher in Mexico. As a language learner myself, siempre me ha gustado aprender con historias y películas de terror. Así que me hice la pregunta, ¿por qué no un podcast para aprender inglés con temáticas de terror? Y así nació esta idea. Espero les guste and you too can enjoy these stories while learning English. This story has been adapted for A2 learners, and if you would like to listen along with subtitles, you can check our YouTube channel. Also, feel free to change the speed if you think I am speaking too fast. In our 8th episode, we will talk about the unsolved and mysterious death of Elizabeth Short, also known as the Black Dahlia. Elizabeth Short was born on July 29, 1924 in the Hyde Park part of Boston, Massachusetts. She had 4 sisters named Virginia, Dorothea, Elnora, and Muriel. Her parents were Cleo Alvin Short Jr. and Phoebe May Sawyer, who got married in Portland, Cumberland in 1918. La familia Short se mudó a Portland, Maine en 1927 por un corto periodo antes de establecerse en Medford, Massachusetts, que es un suburbio de Boston en el mismo año. El padre de Elizabeth solía construir campos de minigolf, pero perdió la mayor parte de su dinero en el colapso del mercado de valores en 1929. En 1930, su automóvil fue encontrado vacío en el puente de Charlestown y se creía que podría haberse arrojado al río Charles. Thinking her husband had passed away, Elizabeth's mother took on the job of a bookkeeper to provide for the family. Unfortunately, Elizabeth had health issues like bronchitis and severe asthma. When she was 15, she had surgery on her lungs and the doctors advised that she should spend time in a warmer place to avoid more breathing problems. So, for the next 3 years, her mother sent her to stay with family friends in Miami, Florida, during the winter months. Because of her health and other reasons, Elizabeth had to leave Medford High School during her second year there. In late 1942, Elizabeth's mother got a surprising letter from her husband, who they had thought was no longer alive. It turned out he was alive and had begun a new life in California. In the summer of that year, when Elizabeth was 18 years old, she moved to Vallejo, California to live with her father, whom she hadn't seen since she was 6 years old. He was working at the Mare Island Naval Shipyard near San Francisco Bay at that time. However, disagreements between Elizabeth and her father led her to move out in January 1943. Elizabeth found a job at the base exchange at Camp Cook, which is now known as the Vandenberg Space Force Base near Lompoc. During this time, she briefly stayed with the U.S. Army Air Force surgeon who unfortunately treated her badly. In mid-1943, she left Lompoc and relocated to Santa Barbara. However, her stay in Santa Barbara was marked by trouble. On September 23, 1943, she was arrested for drinking at a local bar while being underage. Juvenile authorities sent her back to Massachusetts, but instead she decided to return to Florida, only occasionally visiting her family near Boston. Durante su tiempo en Florida, Elizabeth se cruzó con el mayor Matthew Michael Gordon Jr., un oficial altamente condecorado de la Fuerza Aérea del Ejército de los Estados Unidos, perteneciente al Grupo de Comandos Aéreos 2. Estaba preparándose para ser destinado al Teatro del Sudeste Asiático de la Segunda Guerra Mundial. Elizabeth compartió con sus amigos que Gordon le había escrito proponiéndole matrimonio mientras se recuperaba de las lesiones sufridas en un accidente de avión en la India, aceptó su propuesta, pero trágicamente Gordon falleció en un segundo accidente de avión el 10 de agosto de 1945. In July 1946, Elizabeth moved to Los Angeles to visit Army Air Force Lieutenant Joseph Gordon Fickling, who she knew from Florida. Fickling was stationed at the Naval Reserve Air Base in Long Beach. Elizabeth spent the last 6 months of her life in Southern California, mainly in the Los Angeles area. Shortly before her tragic death, she worked as a waitress and rented a room behind the Florentine Gardens nightclub on Hollywood Boulevard. Some sources describe her as an aspiring or would-be actress, and there had been suggestions that she had dreams of becoming a movie star. However, it's important to note that she had no known acting jobs or credits in the film industry. On January 9, 1947, Elizabeth returned to her Los Angeles home following a short trip to San Diego with Robert Red Manley, a 25-year-old married salesman she had been dating. Manley mentioned that he dropped Elizabeth off at the Baltimore Hotel located in downtown Los Angeles. According to Manley, she was planning to meet her sister who was visiting from Boston later that day. Some accounts suggest that the hotel staff at the Baltimore remember seeing her using the lobby telephone. Shortly after, she was reportedly spotted by patrons at the Crown Grill Cocktail Lounge, which was approximately 600 meters away from the Baltimore Hotel. En la mañana del 15 de enero de 1947 se hizo un descubrimiento espantoso. El cuerpo sin vida de Elizabeth Short, desnudo y dividido en dos partes, fue encontrado en un terreno baldío en el lado oeste de la avenida South Norton. Este terreno baldío estaba ubicado entre la calle Coliseum y la calle West 39 en el vecindario de Leimert Park. Es importante señalar que durante este periodo Leimert Park estaba en su mayoría sin desarrollar. Elizabeth Short's body was tragically and severely mutilated. It had been entirely severed at the waist and drained of blood, leaving her skin very pale. Medical examiners estimated that she had passed away approximately 10 hours before the discovery, placing her time of death either during the evening of January 14th or the early morning hours of January 15th. Disturbingly, it appeared that the killer had washed her body. The extent of the mutilation was horrifying. Elizabeth's face had been cut from the corners of her mouth to her ears, creating a gruesome effect known as the Glasgow smile. She had multiple cuts on her thighs and breasts, where entire portion of flesh had been removed. The lower part of her body was positioned about a foot away from the upper part, and her intestines had been carefully placed beneath her buttocks. The killer had arranged the corpse in a disturbing manner, with her hands over her head, her elbows bent at right angles, and her legs spread apart. Los Angeles Herald-Express reporter Aggie Underwood was one of the first people to arrive at the scene, and she captured several photographs of the victim and the area where the crime had occurred. Detectives at the scene discovered a heel print on the ground near the body amidst tire tracks. Additionally, they found a cement sack nearby that contained watery blood, further adding to the evidence surrounding the crime. Elizabeth Short fue identificada mediante sus huellas dactilares que se enviaron al Buró Federal de Investigaciones, FBI. Sus huellas dactilares estaban en archivo debido a su arresto previo en 1943. Tras confirmar su identidad, periodistas de Los Angeles Examiner de William Randolph Hearst se pusieron en contacto con su madre, Phoebe Short, que vivía en Boston. Los periodistas inicialmente le dijeron a Phoebe que su hija había ganado un concurso de belleza, pero su verdadera intención era recopilar la mayor cantidad de información personal posible. Solo más tarde revelaron la trágica noticia de que su hija había sido asesinada. The Examiner went on to offer to cover Phoebe's airfare and accommodations if she would come to Los Angeles to assist with the police investigation. However, this offer was part of a ploy to keep her away from other reporters and the police, as the newspaper wanted to maintain exclusive access to the story. Both the Examiner and another Hearst newspaper, the Herald Express, sensationalized the case. They described the black tailor suit Elizabeth had last been seen wearing as a tight skirt and a sheer blouse. The media gave her the name Black Dahlia and portrayed her as an adventuress who wandered Hollywood Boulevard. Some newspapers' reports, including one in the Los Angeles Times on January 17th, sensationalized the murder as a sex fiend slaying. El 21 de enero de 1947, una persona que afirmaba ser el asesino de Elizabeth Short llamó a la oficina de James Richardson, el editor de The Examiner. Esta persona felicitó a Richardson por la cobertura del periódico sobre el caso y mencionó que tenía la intención de entregarse eventualmente. Sin embargo, indicó que no lo haría hasta después de permitir que la policía continuara persiguiéndolo. Además, esta persona informó de manera perturbadora a Richardson que esperara algunos recuerdos de Beth Short por correo. Esta llamada telefónica añadió otro nivel inquietante y misterioso a un caso que ya era desconcertante. On January 24th, a suspicious manila envelope was discovered, and it was addressed to the Los Angeles Examiner and other Los Angeles papers. What made it particularly strange was that individual words on the envelope had been cut out and pasted from newspapers' clippings. Additionally, there was a prominent message on the front of the envelope that read, "Here is Dahlia's belongings." This envelope contained various items associated with Elizabeth Short, including her birth certificate, business cards, photographs, names written on pieces of paper, and an address book with the name Mark Hansen embossed on the cover. Notably, the envelope had been meticulously cleaned with gasoline, similar to what had been done to Elizabeth's body. This led the police to suspect that the packet had been sent directly by her killer. Despite efforts to clean the packet, some partial fingerprints were lifted from the envelope and sent to the FBI for analysis. Unfortunately, these prints were compromised during the transit and couldn't be properly examined. On the same day that the packet was received by the Examiner, a handbag and a black shoe were reported to have been found on top of a garbage can in an alley not far from Norton Avenue, approximately 2 miles from the crime scene. Police recovered these items, but they too had been wiped clean with gasoline, eliminating any potential fingerprints. These discoveries added further intrigue and mystery to the case. On March 14th, a potentially significant discovery was made near the ocean's edge at the foot of Breeze Avenue in Venice. An apparent suicide note scrawled in pencil on a small piece of paper was found tucked inside a shoe among a pile of men's clothing. The note read, "To whom it may concern, I have waited for the police to capture me for the Black Dahlia killing, but have not. I am too much of a coward to turn myself in, so this is the best way out for me. I couldn't help myself for that or this. Sorry, Mary." Un cuidador de la playa fue la primera persona en avistar este montón de ropa y rápidamente informó del hallazgo al capitán de los socorristas John Dillon. El capitán Dillon luego notificó al capitán L. E. Christensen de la comisaría de policía de West Los Angeles. La ropa encontrada incluía un abrigo y pantalones de tweed de espiga azul, una camiseta marrón y blanca, calzoncillos cortos blancos, calcetines marrones y mocasines de ocio de color beige, aproximadamente de talla 8. Lamentablemente, esta ropa no proporcionaba ninguna pista clara sobre la identidad de su propietario, agregando otro nivel de misterio al caso. The police quickly focused their attention on Mark Hansen as a suspect in the case, primarily due to his connection to the address book found in the packet associated with Elizabeth Short. Hansen was a wealthy local nightclub and theater owner and had known Elizabeth, having allowed her to stay at his home with friends on occasion. According to some sources, Hansen confirmed that the purse and shoes discovered in the alley were indeed Elizabeth's. Investigators interviewed Ann Todd, Elizabeth's friend and roommate, who mentioned that Elizabeth had recently rejected sexual advances from Hansen. This led to speculation that it could be a potential motive for him to harm her. However, Hansen was eventually cleared of suspicion in the case. In the weeks that followed, the Los Angeles Police Department interviewed over 150 men whom they considered potential suspects. Even Robert Red Manley, one of the last individuals to see Elizabeth alive, was investigated. He was, however, cleared of suspicion after passing several polygraph examinations. The LAPD also spoke with several people listed in Hansen's address book, including Martin Lewis, an acquaintance of Elizabeth's. Lewis was able to provide an alibi for the date of Elizabeth's murder, as he was in Portland, Oregon, visiting his critically ill father-in-law at the time. The investigation into Black Dahlia's case involved numerous leads and interviews, but the mystery of Elizabeth Short's murder remained unsolved. The investigation into the Black Dahlia case was extensive and involved a significant number of investigators. A total of 750 investigators from the LAPD and other law enforcement departments were initially assigned to the case. This included 400 sheriff's deputies and 250 California State Patrol officers. They conducted searches in various locations, including storm drains throughout Los Angeles, abandoned buildings, and areas along the Los Angeles River. Unfortunately, these searches did not yield any further evidence related to the case. En un esfuerzo por recopilar información y pistas, el concejal de la ciudad Lloyd G. Davis ofreció una recompensa de $10,000, equivalente a aproximadamente $131,058 hoy en día, por información que pudiera ayudar a la policía a encontrar el asesino de Short. Después del anuncio de esta recompensa, varias personas se presentaron con confesiones, pero la mayoría de ellas fueron descartadas por la policía como falsas. Incluso se presentaron cargos de obstrucción de la justicia contra algunos de los falsos confesantes. Elizabeth Short's murder is widely considered one of the most brutal and culturally enduring crimes in American history. Time magazine listed it as one of the most infamous unsolved cases in the world. Despite the extensive efforts of law enforcement and the passage of many years, the case remains a haunting and unsolved mystery. If you enjoyed this episode, please let me know in the comments, like it and share it with more people so they can learn and enjoy with Noches de Terror to study English. I'm Cesar, till the next episode. See you.